It is 12:33 on June 28th, 2026. I'm sitting here at a little half pavilion that actually wouldn't shelter you from any rain on a bench, and it's getting ready to rain. There's a few drops that already come down, but the clouds are dark overhead. There's an ambulance that just turned into the bank across the street from me and circled around. They're just stalking. And I just wanted to talk about like how large this is and how many kinds of things it includes. So like it definitely includes the medical community. We're gonna find that, I mean, I don't know, I only have like a broad idea, but we're gonna be finding out basically like our government has been like almost like subletting us, like selling us out to be you know especially people who follow more like what doctors actually tell you, which I don't, and I haven't probably ever. They've been making a lot of money off of all of us. And of course, people like myself who've been put into false marriages and set up as like a honeypot situation is completely different. For me, it's more like a whole false world has been created around me. Right now I might feel like, where are the people that are like me? Because there have to be some, or this program wouldn't work. But I don't think there really are any in this area in Virginia, is what I'm being told, at least. And I have to pause. There's a stalker pulling out my phone, which it was in my hand, but holding it and starting to record them has helped tremendously with some people, because they know I've been posting all the stalkers and license plates and things that I can't get them all, but it's been revealed to me and then confirmed like again and again, like basically it's like the taking down of the whole Illuminati. The Masons, I don't know all the different names. I know there's the Eastern Star is the women, but it's basically, including all the churches and all the different religions, it is a huge amount of people who are witches and warlocks, many of whom you would never have guessed, like all the Christians. And my story and what's been done to me is going to be detailed. Every bit of it will be coming out, and it will be almost like the world who isn't part of this is going to marvel at Providence, if you want to say. Don't get me wrong, I'm not referring to any god of the Bible. The Bible is the elite's book. It is a book of manipulation. So are the other religious books. But here I have to pause again. But the belief in the spirit world will be evident, and I also believe it'll be confirmed that it isn't Jesus and it isn't any god of the Bible. And we're gonna see, let's go by the Bible for just a moment. We're gonna see by the fruit of their works what Christianity and what Judaism and even Muslim, we're gonna see what religion, what the fruit really is. But in my case, for my story, it's mostly concerning Christianity. We're gonna see that these people are mass murderers, and this includes, the false stars, like people who are very famous, like Oprah and Beyonce. They've been using my soul star energy. There's a huge scheme, and there's a way that they destiny swap, which is like in the 5D and things you can't see. And then there's a way that they do fraudulent insurance claims. And I believe mine was probably started when I was very, very young, like an infant. And they let it build, and it's an enormous amount of money. There's also a hit on my life right now for at least 2 or 3 years. since I left the Mennonite church. I never did join them per se, but I was among them for 10 years. And then when I had a vision of the bishop of one of the Mennonite churches I had attended for a long time, Dale Miller, beheading a woman, and the whole church group was there, and they were going to be eating the person. And then I was falsely arrested later when people were trying to kill me. It was 40 strangers and one person I could recognize, someone around one of my older children's age, like a young 20-some-year-old. And anyway, I have a lot of things on my site already, but on my YouTube channel already, but I've been documenting. But I would say only in the last 2.5 weeks, it's been revealed to me that this is every single adult that I see, like every person I'm coming in contact, every adult I see is part of this vampire cannibal group. And so that's really what shifted a lot for me, because I had still been trying to, make friends. I thought, yes, some people are into this, but I didn't realize just the magnitude of it until really just a couple weeks ago. And I'm grateful for the understanding being open up to me. And now it's much more evident, and my guard is way more up, and it needs to be. I think that's why I was filled in, because I was still trying to make friends. Like, I had joined a gym mostly to shower, but I did want to swim at least. And I was working out some at first, but I kept realizing, this is going back longer than 2.5 weeks ago, but I realized that I was being stalked there, even by people who work there. And so I kind of pulled back from going as often, but I had still been, making conversation with people. Like if I was sitting in the sauna or something, and I was hoping to make friends, and I don't know, I was just living still somewhat more in a delusion, but not because I'm deluded. It's more like expecting more of a normal, and this is just not normal. So there wasn't anything wrong with my expectations. It's just not going to be able to play out here in this time and place. I should be able to make friends. There's something wrong with me. I have been placed among a huge vampire cannibal group, which is the secret societies, and they have been practicing voyeurism, like peeping toms, watching me for my whole life. My family sold me basically to this group so they could destiny swap, and I was put in a false marriage of almost 30 years. I did not know that. And they were going to kill me because I was basically waking up too much. I was coming to understand too many things, and I still didn't understand what I do now. But it was like I wasn't allowed to leave the marriage. I wasn't allowed to leave these churches. It was okay if I left one of these churches and went to another one. It wasn't okay. It almost wasn't okay to leave. Let's say the further I went in Christianity, the more and more narrow-minded I became. Therefore, the churches became more cult-like, and I wasn't allowed to leave the more narrow churches. They didn't want me to try to go back to more whatever, But these people are in all of them. It's all of them. And really, my beliefs and stuff when I was still Christian didn't really allow me to fit back into the churches where they, wore blue jeans and sang rock music and stuff. Now it's this whole understanding of this is worldwide, and it goes real deep. So even your secular artist, there was a download I got yesterday, I believe, or day before, about Prince. And I've been a fan of Prince. And I don't believe Prince is really dead. I believe he's like Michael Jackson and Tupac. I believe, and O.J. Simpson. There's a lot of people who aren't really dead. Biggie Small. That's part of the program. But I got a download that Prince, who I have been a fan of his music, very big fan actually, his name is more like Prince in a dress, like footprints or fingerprints, a copy. Prince, like print me this paper, a copy. And see, there are a lot of names. I don't know that it's every single person's name, but there are a lot of names that have kind of that second hidden meaning, and it kind of alludes to what the practices that they're doing to build that fame, or to quote, get that talent, like in the Bible where someone was handed another person's talent. And we're told, when you're Christian, you're told that just with some form of money, but I think it's actually there kind of as a clue of what they do. They literally give, through destiny swapping and using dark arts, using things like orgies with a whole huge group, like a whole huge coven. Like, let's say every church is a coven, and then there's lots of people who are secular who are into this, like a whole ton. So whatever the group is, they get together and they all have sex with each other as they are, thinking about, let's say, me and what they are going to do and harness, however they do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know, maybe it's more than just sex and using their mind. Maybe there's actually okay, I got this blood from her tampon, or I got this blood from her maxi pad that was in the trash can. Here's some of her hair. I don't know exactly what all they do. I know that there are more than one person who have a voodoo doll of me, and there have been times where I have felt a stabbing pain. I remember very clearly in my big toe, my right foot, and I would have had no idea at that point about any magic being done on me. I was still living with my mom after my husband, who I would have not known it was a false marriage, had kind of forced his way back into the home. He thought I would stay because of the children, because I love my children very much, and he knows that and has used it against me, but I knew I could not live with him, and I had no idea of this whole huge mirage I was living in still. But this goes really deep, and so my story is going to be used as it's kind of like the spirit world, the benevolent spirits, the ones who believe in justice and truth. It's like they're going to say to the whole world, attention, look on, this is what's really been going on here. And she's only one person this has happened to. She may be one, more has happened to than most, for sure. But they've gotten away with this before, other lifetimes, let's say I'm the one for this, this season, this generation, but they've been doing this for generations. And so there are people with bigger energies who have a bigger purpose. They have been able to successfully kill them, destiny swap and kill them in times gone by, but I am the last one. And I believe I was sent, or I came here. I'm an old soul, but I volunteered to come here and to suffer and be tormented and treated in these ways if I got through it all, which I have. I believe it was fated, but it was also very hard. I had to kind of remember who I am and stand in my power, that I would be able to take down this whole group forever, and there would never again be this abuse of using spirituality, using magic, which we all, I believe, have the potential to be magical, but using it for evil and stealing from people. This includes a lot of child sacrifice, which also is alluded to in their book, the Bible. It might be alluded to in the other religious books, I'm not sure. But Moloch wanted child sacrifice in the Old Testament of the Bible. That's what's really going on here, and we're going to find out. And this is Christians, not just people who are Old Testament only kind of. And all the things you see within Christianity, all the religious disputes about, how to baptize. No, it has to be this, it has to be that, or the different ways that Christianity has like a million different like takes on things. We're gonna find out all of that is just a ruse. The whole thing is just a ruse. And what they all are is vampires and cannibals. They molest children, they sacrifice children. You must molest, which includes rape. You have to rape or molest somebody to enter the group. I was the victim of a lot of molestation and rape, but I have never been the perpetrator, and I have always refused. No one ever came to me and said, hey, would you like to join our group? It was more sent to me in spiritual attacks, and I always resisted them. I always knew it was something outside of myself. If I felt like, let's say I was like laying in bed with my child innocently, and then, excuse me, that's a third chakra attack, and then like a feeling, like a warm feeling, the way you might get turned on if you're with like your boyfriend or your husband or your spouse or whatever, right? The way it would be appropriate, but that kind of like a warm sensation come over you in just like a few seconds, and it's like I would think, why am I feeling that? Like I don't want to hurt my child, you know. And so I was a Christian then, and I would have seen it as like a temptation, and it was a temptation. Satan and Jesus, I believe, are the same thing. This Moloch is the same thing, or it's a whole bunch of deities that are like very much like each other, and they like pedophilia and the blood of humans. So I always resisted, and I didn't like when those things happened, because they did make me kind of question, like, are you a sicko? Like, you belong in some kind of mental ward? Like, how could you have that feeling as you're like with your child? And I would have just never known about black magic, honestly, and especially with the people that I was surrounded with in my life, except for my husband, who was never truly my husband. Now I know only that intuitively, but that's all going to be coming out. 28 years is a long time to be in a false marriage, but I never, like, besides him, everyone else that I was ever like really friends with or had in my life, except for children, not all my children were Christian, but everyone was a Christian. Many of these people were pastors' wives, and the more and more gung-ho and serious I got about Christianity as time went on, these groups often, like, not always, but started out the more normal, like jeans and whatever, and then to all skirts, and then to the Mennonite. But I have been Mormon as a teenager. I joined the Mormons around 14, and really that was just because I was very neglected as a child, and the sister missionaries were in their early 20s, and 2 of them would come pay me a weekly visit, and that was a big deal to me then. Now I know that they're all just energy harvesters, and they are also vampires and cannibals. And they always had sought me out, these groups, because of my big energy, and I was placed into like an MK Ultra, like I was placed into like a make-believe pseudo world where everyone knows what's going on except for me and my youngest children. My older children, somehow through molestation, probably starting pretty early on, that I would have not known was happening, and then just brainwashing, and I don't know how their dad was able to do this, but once people do drink the blood, it gives you like an electrical feel, real strong electrical feel. Please, if you've never done this, don't go start doing it. I'm not making an excuse, I'm only trying to relay that I can understand once someone does this once. It's the kind of thing that would be really hard to just say no thank you. Plus I think that anybody who would try to, on like a moral stance, try to back away from once they've already done this, they're just going to be killed by the other members of the group. So all of this is about power and control and manipulation, and people are, I think, often blackmailed into these groups, because I think they tried to get me in many ways, even like surveillancing me all these years, but I don't care. I mean, I care. I don't like that it's happened, but if it could stop people from already seeing my naked body that they've been watching for years. But let's say I believed, if I joined, that nobody could ever see my naked body, that I wasn't actively engaging with, right? You know, then they would have succeeded to have that control over me. Like, okay, she's gonna, you know, sacrifice children and molest children and eat people now because she doesn't want the whole world to see her body. See what I mean? So, like, whether you have an affair or whatever the thing is, most people are not in a false marriage and in a pseudo world, but the people who are in these groups all have to start with molesting/raping someone, and once they do that, then, you know, they start killing people as well, because the killing never stops. It was never once for all, like the Bible says that Jesus died once for all. But the idea of someone dying for another is definitely the thrust of this group. The idea that, you know, this one, and there's songs that boast of this. Another one just came to mind. And another one bites the dust, and another one, and another one, and another one bites the dust. That song, I can't remember the group now because it's before my time, but it's one of those songs that I do know it somewhat, but there's a lot of songs like that. The first one that was brought to mind, this was going back probably, I don't know, maybe a month ago at the most, but it was it's electric, boogie woogie woogie, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then there was one today, a new one today. Let's see. It was, I used to love that group too. What's the group called? But the song is, come on baby, now come on darling, you know it was time for you to see, I gotta make you see that baby you just gotta release me. I'm kind of off key. Release me. That came to me this morning. I think it was playing at Kroger when I was sitting there charging my phone. I can't remember now if it was playing or if it just came into my mind, but it was like, I think it must have been playing, but it was like that line there, and it was like, release me. It's more like that whole idea of like someone standing in for you, and then the word baby is like truly speaking to babies or children. I gotta pause for another stalker. Okay, that was a stalker that's come by me at least 3 times today, and I felt like I needed to actually get him on film this time. Maybe that will deter him. It's gonna be horrific, the kind of things that are gonna come out. I've been prepared for this in ways of going through a lot of like travesty in my life. So I'm not hardened, but I've done a lot of work. And so it's not like these are small things, but I feel that I'm gonna have some kind of authoritative position, but I will not ever abuse any power. But I feel that my job is going to be in some way, shape, or form to lead those of us who are not part of this to like work through it. It's going to be like, it's a huge travesty. It's like human slaughtering, you know, I don't know, by the millions. I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on for so long, and that's why it's like, I'm not trying to set myself up above anybody. I actually don't believe in power over any longer, but it's almost like the whole idea of Jesus coming down to save the people is all a made-up story, because somebody would eventually come, and it happens to be a woman, a girl, and they knew as I was born, or maybe before I was born, by my energy signature. These people who are into magic, but they are dark. And so therefore, it was like they put me in this program. And they studied me by molesting me. And so it is almost like divinity coming down in human form. But not to die for the people, even though I have died in such a way of... When I was a Christian, it was really like death daily. It was really awful. But it's like to be able to pull this whole thing down. I was a part of it, not taking part of the sacrifices and things like that. I didn't know about them, but I was truly, like I said, sacrificing myself for the doctrines of the Bible, for the belief that the things that the Bible actually teaches. You know, being willing to suffer for Jesus. And I was willing because I fully believed it. And it's been revealed to me so just recently, you know, that this is like mega scale. It's enormous. It's the whole world. Not everyone in the world, obviously, or wouldn't work. And there would be none of us left. I'd be alone, and that's not good. There's so many bodies in the James River, in the ocean. They've been weighted at the ankle. Of course, there will be many bodies we won't be able to recover, but there will be many bodies that are able to be maybe not fully, you know, recognizable, but we will definitely. The term drain the swamps was given to me, I believe, 2 years ago. I thought it was going to be in October after I was getting out of jail, and that didn't happen. And then I'm like, is it next October? And that would be this coming October, and it very well may be. The stalking has increased greatly. These people realize I've won. They're pissed. The Destiny Swap isn't going to work. I'm never going to be like lowering myself down into a place of submission. And once again, this is not because I didn't have a brain. It was because I believed dogma from the Bible, and I really believed it. So I submitted to, you know, all the wrong that anybody could ever have done to me, and believed it was God's will. So that God is a lowercase g. Jesus, Satan, I believe, are two faces of the same, or they are possibly brothers. Gabe, Michael, these are angels that are fallen. They are not people that we should be, or spirits that we should be calling on for help to like understand our tarot card reading. So I think there are still some tarot readers who might refer to Jesus or Archangel Michael, and they are just doing it in ignorance. They just don't know. And so we're going to know. And we're going to know the fruit of what's really going on. So there's like enough truth in the Bible that it was like things were disclosed that they had to disclose, all like shrouded in lies. So I believe the spirit world has communicated to me in just the last couple weeks, but I don't believe there was ever any even Old Testament like let my people go, like Moses, the whole like leading the children of Israel. And like even the word Israel today, I got a download about I think it was the news must have been a commercial at Kroger, because I don't really listen to anything like that. I don't listen to any news, but it said Israel, and the word is real, like, is this real? And it was like, oh my gosh. And like even like Bible, that come to me months ago, like back when I was still in Emporia, but it's like Bible, like bull crap, like Bible, you know. It's also to by, like in two, but then the other to bull, go to the bull, you know. It's Moloch, child sacrifice. But you know, I had never even thought of like even just the word Bible, that it's made up of two smaller phrases. Of course, it's not spelled that way, but there are a lot of words like that where if you just examine the word, you really get some insight. So the English language just kind of has a lot of magic within the spelling, and even spelling, like word magic, you know. So even my last names, I don't believe these are my real names, or that I know anything of my true heritage, earthly heritage. But my last name coming up is Waller, and I've gotten insight is like wall her in, like wall her, you know, like barricade her. And then my false husband, that I didn't know, of course, that it was a false marriage. It's only been intuitively and me, like spiritually, being kind of shown these things. But the last name is Henderson, and Hender, the son, S-U-N is more of the true meaning, like hinder her coming into like her full realization of like who she is, what she's here for, her purpose. And I am fully in my purpose right now. I am fully like aligned. I understand who I am. I understand what's going on. I see beyond the veil. I see beyond, you know, that there right now are just some cars passing by, and there's a couple people at the bank, and, you know, I shouldn't think anything like, well, okay, this one over there is like watching my every move, and they've got 15 other people in all these different points in case I make a right, left, I go up, down, this road, that road, whatever. That would be paranoia, right? Under normal circumstances. But I see beyond the veil, and even beyond humans. This goes much deeper, because really it's more like entities from other realms is where these people are getting their power. And so, you know, if you want to call them deities, they're dark, evil, fallen angels. And there are quite a few songs that kind of boast of this. There was one, Queen, it was, I used it in one of my videos. Which one was it? Can't think now. But there's a lot of songs where it's kind of this idea that the people are going to get caught up, but we're not. You know, this is the power behind, you know, Elvis. Celine Dion is Elvis's real daughter, and the old man she was said to be married to was actually Elvis. He had not died when we were told. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of those kind of things. It's all just been like a huge money-making scandal. But you might be married for real, and you might not have had the things done to you at the great lengths that they've been done to me. But the things that have been done to me coming out and becoming public knowledge, which is something that this group never ever thought would happen, because they haven't been held accountable for like thousands and thousands of years. And so they teach their children, they molest and indoctrinate and bring their children into these beliefs of cannibalism and pedophilia. They sacrifice human and eat it and drink it and put it in the food. Even we're going to find out all kinds of things, but this is human slavery or human trafficking on a large scale. And because I have survived so much, I get to bring down this whole thing. And I say I, but it is me, as far as like humans go, but it's affecting, of course, many humans, and I'm not the only person who's been targeted by this group, but it's me being spiritually backed by a whole host of dragon spirits. I see dragons in the clouds, in the trees. I have had divine protection in such a way that it is unlike anything I could have imagined. And really is kind of only like things I would have maybe read in the Bible. The Bible is the elite's book. It is a book of lies, but it has some truth, because without truth, the lies would be a lot more obvious. It's all just been a manipulation, and it's allowed certain people to have, riches and attain like a high status, and other people maybe riches and maybe they didn't want to be, but so famous. Like the Mennonites are very, very high ranking. The Mennonites are higher ranking than any government. The Mennonites almost are the government. Trump and all that and all these things in Iraq, this is false. All of it's false. Tupac is alive. He was dressed up as one of the Iraqi, he was dressed up like an Arab person being interviewed years ago, and I remember seeing it on the screen, that it had something with the word PAC, P-A-C. It had like, part of his name that he goes by, but he's supposed to be dead. But I was looking right at him, and it was like, oh my gosh, they're like playing in our face. They love playing in our face. I also have recently come to believe, a lot of things have been switched, and so I don't know if demons are good, but angels in the Bible are definitely bad. So the dragon who made war, or the dragon made war with Michael, or Michael made war with the dragon. Either way it's said in the Bible. I believe the dragon represents like the fire of the base of your like sacral chakra, but it's basically like standing in your power, or your forked tongue, your tongue that's willing to like speak, be bold, and say things that need to be said, even if they're not going to be well received. There's another one, I gotta pause. These people are super controlling, and they don't like that I have, any time to, they're still all around, but I've chosen a place that's more grassy, and there's only a few sporadic benches, so they can't like get in real close to me. But I have been poisoned today. Again, I've been poisoned many times, and not today. I don't know how it happened today, honestly, but the last time I was poisoned before today was within the last couple weeks at a Wawa, and I made a video about it already, but basically they were stalking me, and I had gone in to get a cup of water, and a guy was standing just 2 feet away from the machine, for the soda machine where we'd get ice and get a cup and get water or soda, and I was getting water, and they know I like to get big cups because, I'm on foot, I'm a pedestrian, and so this guy was standing there, and I had taken note that he was just standing there. He wasn't like looking at muffins, he wasn't buying anything, he was just, and so I knew he was a handler, and because I'm just so like intuitive, I figured he had probably done something to the cup. So I already had been like filling it with water when this thought dawned on me, and so when he saw that I was keeping the cup and I was turning to go, he had moved over further away by the counter, but he still wasn't buying it. He was just standing there. And because I perceived, I said to him, oh, just so you know, I'm immune to fentanyl now. And he, like, his eyes, like, bugged out of his head, like, shocked that I knew, and then what I'm saying. And so I'm not emptying the cup, and, oh, yuck, oh no, I'm gonna die. I just knew that. And so I ended up, and I already made a video about this, but I'll just mention it, but I ended up that I did have, some, like, signs that I have been drugged. I was kind of, the clouds like were like the sky was kind of moving real funny. Probably about a half an hour later, when I had walked over to my storage, and I was looking at the sky because it was a very beautiful formation of clouds, but then they were like, it was like they were moving. And I've never done mushrooms or anything, but I'm sure they're a drug because you can do where, you know, you have certain things kind of like just do visual, you know, something that is not normal, and it was like that. And today I knew that I was poisoned because of the way it hit me on my my bowels, and the only thing I've been eating is solid canned tuna without any mayonnaise or anything, and drinking water and coffee, but I'd only had the tuna, and I really don't know who it was exactly that somehow got to my cup, or maybe they put something on my handle of my shopping cart even, you know, but whatever it was, it went through my system, and it was like real aggressive to my bowels. But I hadn't had anything that, you know, like I said in a different video, like let's say I've never had 3 frappuccinos at once, but let's say I did something like that, you know, then you might have that kind of effect. But I believe all of these things are going to come out, and much worse things. They've killed my son Ethan, they've killed my son Ruben, they've caused me many miscarriages through black magic. They have just wanted me to be like a sex slave. They've enjoyed watching me. They've marveled at my talents, but they didn't want me to have like anything good. They didn't want me to ever have any real love, and this includes like the family I was raised in, which I think maybe I was abducted and, like, I don't know, put up into, you know, within this group, put up for adoption, but I was really stolen. I'm not sure. Excuse me. And maybe I'm an heiress or something, and maybe there's money that way, but there's at least a lot of money with just like my energy, who I am, and like on my own. If this had never been done to me, I'm a go-getter, I'm very talented, and I would already have, you know, made myself a fortune financially, because we really pull in what we are like on an energetic level. But these people have built, like my uncles and my parents, like these people have built wealth off of me, and then it's so many strangers. So my spirit team is telling me that the world is going to know how far they were willing to go to stop you. And it's going to be really eye-opening. And for me as well, because I don't know all the details. I only have more of a broad understanding. But, you know, when they killed my son Ethan, it was because they weren't, like, having as strong of an effect on me. Like, I had a soap business, you know, I was somewhat happy, you know, probably nothing what happy could really be, but it was like I wasn't doing poor enough, so they were trying to devastate me, and it was devastating. But because I believed, you know, things in the Bible actually, but they, you know, I believed things like things don't happen to you unless, you know, like it's for your good, that kind of thing. And I could never have really imagined that what they were trying to do was so they could have some kind of like, basically like a sacrificial, like they ate him. They actually unburied him later and ate him or drank his blood. However they do it. And this would have been the Mennonite church with my family. The false husband, and then the older children, and the whole church group, and then like extra family who came from out of town. My sisters, they're more like Baptists, but all of it's a rouge, and they're all pedophile, cannibal. It's a vampire group. These things are glorified in vampire novels, which I never would have read a vampire novel until I was wrongly jailed. The whole like legal system is corrupt, and they have plotted on me, and that's going to all come out. These things are coming down. It's huge, and America's coming down. So when I think of all I've been through, all that I even know that I've been through. I know there's a lot more that I've endured and don't know the details, but I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy that I've been a porn star against my will and haven't known it. It's been very successful, apparently. I made my Bolt's husband very rich. Him and his wife, who was trying to destiny swap. And people like Oprah and Beyonce and lots of people. Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg visited me in my dream when I was 14 or 15. I just didn't know about the astral realm and people trying to like basically rape you in the spirit realm to like harness your sexual energy. But the way this was done most of my adult life was through me having sex with my believed husband, because even when I didn't want to, the Bible says that, my body didn't belong to me, it belonged to my spouse. And so there was a lot of marital rape going on, but I didn't really believe in marital rape. And so walking away from him, and then I kind of very naturally, over a year and a half, deconverted from Christianity. I still had no idea of this whole mirage and what was going on. I was living with my mom. I didn't know they were filming me there. So every time I dressed or met my own sexual needs, they were watching me the whole time. And so it's really crazy. And there's a lot of awful things these people have done, and it's really enormous. And it's going to be like shocking. But it's okay to be shocked, but then like be comforted and marvel and like be in awe that there's something bigger than me or you that has sent me here to overcome this group that says no more. You all can't do this anymore. You figured out a way to, manipulate the whole world by sacrificing children to these dark deities, these dark entities. You found out how to work this kind of magic, but it's not lawful, and you can't do this anymore. And so one really did have to come and suffer. And I was told I was the Antichrist. At first I'm like, it's almost like, am I the Christ? Like, is this the second coming of Christ, But the Bible has a lot of lies. It's not. And then I was told, you're the Antichrist. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then, the Bible is a magic book, and I've been told for myself, I open portals very easily without even trying. And so when I believed it, I was like kind of like going down into like the underworld and just my mind, just in my thought processes. I've been told some strange things that I don't know what to do with, like that the devil fell in love with me, or the fallen angel, whoever, Lucifer. And there's a whole lot of things. And half of it sounds so crazy. But when the world sees, when those of us who are not part of this group see what great lengths have been taken against me, we're gonna all believe in, if you want to say God, I just don't think we should say God, because I don't want us to get it confused with the God of the Bible. And when people say God, they tend to mean the God of the Bible. This is not the God of the Bible. This is opposite of that. So just like these people live double lives, their God does as well. Their God has two faces. If you want to say Satan, Jesus, or, I don't know, you could say it a lot of different ways. Jehovah, Moloch. One presents as good, but is really evil. And there are things in the Old Testament where if you would read it straight through, like I have, there have been certain passages where I would be like questioning, like, but why would you do this? Why would you send in a prophet to this other prophet and have him lie, and then the first prophet gets killed because the second guy lied to him? And there were just a lot of things like that and now it's like I'm being shown like you were dealing with a spirit, but it wasn't what you thought it was. But then there are other things that I was always right on. My intuition was right on about like bad vibes about certain people. And honestly, a lot of times when I saw people in a good light, when they really are yucky and perverts, it's because I was seeing my reflection. I was, when you don't have a malicious intent, sometimes it's hard to even imagine that so many people could have a malicious intent, especially when, movies even that they make, this is Hollywood and everything, this is all the singers and rappers, up until there's many rappers who've been harvesting my energy, and one of them is, what's his name now? I've been given multiple names. 50 Cent is coming to mind right now, but it's the one who doesn't write his lyrics down. He just goes in there and he won't be able to do that anymore. Oprah, Beyonce, and I don't know. I think we're gonna find out everything, is what I'm being told. So it's so significant. It's gonna be like world changing. It's enormous. And so then, therefore, it's like, okay, everything that happened, I'm okay with. I mean, I'm not happy, that my son Ethan, who is near in spirit, he communicates with me in spirit. Not in an audible way. Just, I have the hiccups now, but, I'm not okay that my sons died. I'm actually not okay that my adult children got pulled into this and that they are enemies of mine. I didn't want them to be enemies. But there is no coming back from this for at least for adults. I'm hoping there's coming back from it for children. Many children are little and brought into this at, even under age 5, and given this blood to drink, and that feeling, that electrical feeling that I was allowed to experience 3 short times within a 5-minute, just once, because I have been just asking for clarification of how people could be so heartless and just slaughter people like it's just nothing, and they just keep doing this just so they can present outwardly as like a good, upright person. So I did not know when I entered among the Mennonites that I was entering among like some of the top elite people in the world, and that they knew I was already very, very much, but they in the end they were wanting to kill me unless I would have become one of these cannibal vampire people. And then if I had, they would have been still harvesting from me, and I still wouldn't have known like who I was. It still would have been a mirage for me. So it's sad, and all I can say is the good part are the things that we need to accept and work through. All of the horrific things we're going to be uncovering, like lots of bodies, and just coming to understand just how dark and sinister Earth has been. But then we need to get to the place where we are just so grateful that it's been stopped. It's not being allowed to ever even start again, ever. And I know a lot of people believe that we die and then we come back, but we don't always come back. And there are things I've been told intuitively, these people don't get to come back. They don't get to have another life. They don't get to just close their eyes as they're being electrocuted in the judicial system and then just wake up with, a new life as a baby somewhere. And that might seem cruel on one hand, and I got into where I didn't believe in hell, and I still don't believe in hell. I don't believe the Bible, but it's more like the lake of fire. It's like kind of like forever being, tormented with what you've done. I don't know, but I'm okay with it. The spirit world has really communicated to me when I was much more, even just a few weeks ago, I was much more like, but I want people to be able to, be sorry and not do this anymore and still be here. And I've been told like they were given a lot of very clear warnings to stop with this, and they haven't been willing, and they're still not willing. They are still like relentlessly pursuing me, which is very foolish. I think some of the higher up ones probably know they can't kill me, but other ones would maybe be deceived that they could. But people keep coming for me, and so in the end, it's a very positive thing that's happened, and I've been assured that what has happened spiritually cannot be undone. So it's just a matter of time, and it isn't going to be very long. These people are going down, and it's going to be like a worldwide publicized event. I will be a household name, I've been told. Of course, it doesn't mean everybody's going to be my fan, and that's fine. I didn't seek out this. This was my life purpose that I only really have come to realize in incremental fashion in the last, year or two. And like I said, only in the last 2.5 weeks would I really get like way more understanding. Like, oh my gosh, it's enormous. It's every person, it's every adult that I see here in Richmond. It's everyone in Virginia, except for maybe some small children. It's a lot of children too. It's heart-wrenching, and I knew before, and I know that we're going to be more than okay. Earth is going to be something it's never been. It's going to be more like what it was always meant to be. And maybe this was the fall. What we've been experiencing was the fall. But I don't know. The Bible is definitely a book of trickery. I would be really careful reading any of it. But it does say in the book of Revelation that the devil knew that he only had a little time. So I think that these people were deceived as well, like on a level where they didn't really believe in God, even the Christians or people who were real religious, and they really did set themselves up like they were God. And this was more just like a power and control, like we have the power, we know how to do this thing magically, we know how to operate this, we file these claims, we've got these businesses under, in our back pocket, and it's a huge system, it's working very well, we got it lubricated, everything's going swell. We offer up the children, or we offer up the other innocent, which can be adults. Like the beheading I saw was a woman, so she would have been someone who's innocent, and they offer up their own kind when they want to, or when they need a sacrifice. But right now it's almost like the entity they've been sacrificing to, which I believe is Jesus, but it's like that entity on the spiritual level, it's like that entity is like, where is she? You said you were going to get me that one. She's the one I want, talking about me, and it's like, well, we can't do it, and it's like that entity is like coming for them now, kind of like that. But it's also spirits that are benevolent, bringing about justice, but even using the dark malevolent spirits to accomplish those means. But there's nothing wrong with destroying these people, and the part of me that used to think so even a few weeks ago, boy, I tell you what, just to even think about for a little while what they're okay doing to me, and then to think about even a few seconds of what they're doing to so many people, it's like, yeah, these people need to die. This is crazy. This is awful. I mean, they make movies where they, as a society, they hold to, that rape is wrong, or murder is wrong, or, cannibalism, like in the movie Silencing of the Lambs, which is just a mockery. Every single person on that set, every person who was behind a camera, on camera, the person who wrote the script, everybody is a cannibal and a pedophile. But they paint the picture so it makes like their illusion go undetected. They paint the picture like in the movies that, cannibalism, of course, is wrong, right? And so this is just all coming down, and they're mad. Many of these people are so angry at me, and they act as if, like, to my face, they act like I've done something wrong to them. Like, how dare I stand in my power? How dare I be told by the spirit world what they're doing? How dare I? But I'm not gonna cower, and there's nothing that they can do to me. So all they really can do right now is pester, and I just choose to not let the things get to me, and I've healed so much that things don't get to me the way they used to, and I was still like being traumatized every day, living with this husband that honestly I can't even believe that this is what it is. Like, he's such an imbecile. Like, I don't know how he was a warlock with any rank at all for him to be given the job, but I could have told him he wasn't shit, and I only submitted to him because of what I believe Jesus had done for me and who I believe Jesus to be. So, and like I said, being told that, you know, I always say the devil, but Jesus fell in love with me. Like, he's dark, but he fell in love with me because of all my true devotion. And so I don't know what some of these things mean, honestly, but I'm like, I don't want any human version of anybody who's, you know, I'm okay with like thinking, you know, like I'm the kind of person who thought people can come back from a lot, but I don't really know about coming back from cannibalism and mass murder and eating people. I mean, the only people I really think can come back from that, if it's possible, would be children who are still like quite young, and it's just all they've ever known because they were groomed into it. But when you think that that has happened to everyone in it, that's the sad part. But at some point we get to choose. So I was definitely groomed for this, and I have not ever taken part in any of that kind of thing ever. And I did sleep with a lot of people when I was a teen, but it was because they were depriving me purposely of any love or care, my family, and they were also sending boys in who knew that I was like this divine being, and they really, really wanted to harvest off of my energy. And plus, just the sex alone was really good, but that's really beside the point. So slavery is real, but I'm white, and many of these people are black or other. Many are white as well, but the whole like race card thing has just been another one of their illusions, where they have like a quote police officer. All the police officers are part of this. All the military is part of this. But like when they have like a police officer, supposedly, because I don't even think it really happens, but they show the news and it's like a white police officer has shot and killed a black man who was unarmed or something, right? And there's a big uproar in the communities, right? And on the news, you know, those kind of things, just like O.J. Simpson and that whole like murder and then them chasing him, like all of that was scripted. All of that is just an act. And this is the power, the slaughtering of the children and drinking of the blood. This is the power that gives the football star his greatest, you know, run or throw or whatever, and it's what gives the basketball star their slam dunk. And when you watch those things, it really does look like magic, and it is. We just didn't know what power was. And when I was a Christian, I thought it was perhaps a power given to them by the beast, and that really is what this is, if we want to use their terminology. This is what the mark of the beast is. I have been told that I have defeated Jesus, Satan, Jesus, same thing I think, but I've been told, I'm like, what did I do? Like, what shifted? What did I actually do? I don't quite understand, you know? Because I've always been walking in integrity, no matter what I did, but, imperfectly, I'm just saying. But I was told, basically, like, I'm the only person that didn't, like, give in, that there wasn't anything I wanted. I wasn't willing to do this. So maybe the other innocent people haven't been, like, it hasn't been put to them, you know, because I know there are other people on earth that haven't done this either. So I don't know, but I was just told, like, I overcame, basically, like, it's like proving the Bible false and its power structure crumbling, everything that it is, which explains kind of why, like, America supposedly, is like a Christian nation, even though it didn't really seem to be by its fruit. But now, now we're gonna know. I know that the fruit of Christianity is really, really gross. It's really awful. And unfortunately, pedophilia and murder, like slaughtering, just endless slaughtering, is rampant. But it's not going to be rampant. These people are being done away with. Prison for life. Many have taken their lives, and many more will, as these things continue to be brought to light and aired. But then many will, be put to death. And then there are things like car collisions that are not accidents. It's happening every day here in Richmond, where I am, since I have gone up and down the streets with cherry stain on my face, calling judgment on these people after Spirit told me there is no coming back for these people. Like, they can't just be like sorry now, but they're not sorry, and that's the thing. So that's going to be the end of this, but I'm just kind of like wanting to make a record for when this does. I believe it's pretty close to being made public, and I keep just being getting confirmation after confirmation. So I'm very thankful, and I miss my children, and I guess I'll forever miss my children that have defaulted from being, maybe they were never what I thought they were, but I'll miss the idea of who I thought they were, or if they ever were who I thought they were. But I've been told clearly, like my oldest daughter, I would have really considered to be one of my closest friends, and I'm being told that she will die or has died. She will be dying very soon, or has died. This was a few days ago. That every time she saw me coming ahead, every time she saw me like manifesting something good in my life, probably especially once I left her dad, that she would go and do black magic and hex me and try to do everything to stop me. And she either never was who I thought, or it's because she was so addicted to this drug, this high, this electrical high. But it's been giving power to, people of all different kinds of people and businesses of all different kinds. Like the medical industry, the stores, like Walmart is a huge trafficking ring. Amber Alert is an inside job. It's all the police, it's the courts, it's everything. It's so enormous. So we're going to be rebuilding, and I don't know exactly what all it's going to look like, but I just want to encourage anybody who ever listens to this in times to come to, despite what all it is, try to look at it in the most positive light, that this is being brought to an end forever. So that's definitely worth being celebrated, and it is going to be shocking. It is going to be like heart-wrenching. It has been to me, and I've been shown things in incremental fashion. So when these things get aired on the news and stuff, and the news people are all corrupted, I don't know how it's going to all get aired, but it's going to. Spirit world will jump into bodies so that they're not corrupt, to bring justice here.